Hello everybody and welcome back to another tutorial. We're going to be learning how to model flat slabs in Revit. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to come over here to the models tab. I'm going to click here on new, and you know by now on this channel we use a specific template for structural modeling. So if I click on browse, I'm going to switch it here from English Imperial. I'll come here to templates, I'll select English, I'll scroll down, and I'm going to pick here the structural analysis default GBR ENU template. I'll click on open and OK. Alright, great. Now I'm going to create the grid lines. I'll come to the structures tab, and under the datum group, I'm going to click on grid. I'll click here to create my first grid line. I'll click here, and then I can come here and I can specify a distance of about 7,005. I can just move and then type in the value 7,500, press enter, move upwards, and I can use the copy tool. So I'll select this, I'll press enter, click here, I'll type here 7,500, enter, type here 7,500, enter, now press escape. Now I'll come back to the structures tab. I'm going to click on grid again, and I'll create a grid line in the opposite direction. Click here, I'll press escape. I'll first of all select it, and I'll change the name here to A. Alright, good. Now I'll come here and click on copy, click here, put in a distance of 7,500, move downwards, type here 7,500, enter, then move downwards again, type here 7,500. Oops. So I'll click on this, and I can just change the temporary dimensions to 7,500. There we go. Now I'll click on the grid lines and I'll modify their extents. Just going to make some room for dimensions that may come out later on. Alright, there we go. So I'll just click on everything, and then I can just make sure it's centered. I always like everything being centered according to the elevations. Now let's go ahead and model our columns. To do that, I'm going to go ahead and open up an elevation view. So I'll open up the south view, and I'm going to come over here to the structures tab, and I'm going to click on level. I'll click here. I'm going to just create a level here for my upper column, set it here to 3000, click, and I'll click in this direction. Once I'm done, I just click on modify. I'll select this grid line, I'll just move it up a bit. There we go. I'll close the south view for now. And now I'll come over here to the structures tab, click on column, and I'm going to switch here to this family, concrete rectangular column, and I'll specify this type. I'll come over here and change the material first. So I'll click on this three dot icon, and I'm going to search here for C25. Alright, so this is the material. So I'll click here to add it into the document. If you don't say like this, that means it's collapsed. So material libraries, you just need to go ahead and expand it. I'll select it, and I'll click here to add into document. Make sure it's selected, and I click OK. Now I'll come here to edit type, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate. I'll rename this here as 600, and I'll name this here as 600. There we go. I'll also change the parameters here as well for the B and the H to 600 respectively. Alright, good. So once I've done all of that, you see here it is set to a depth level 1. We're currently on level 2. So I'm just going to come here and click on 1A. Alright, and I can actually place columns quickly using these art grids. So if I click on art grids, I can make a selection over all the grid lines that I want to place my columns. I'll make a selection like this. And once I'm done, I click on finish. Alright, I'll click on modify, and I'm just going to select these two columns here, and I'm just going to delete it because we're going to be having walls here. Before we place the walls, let's model our slab. So I'll come to the structures tab. I'm going to click here on floor. I'm going to come to edit type, and I'm going to duplicate, and I'm going to call this here a 200 mm. Alright. Then under the construction, I'll click on edit, and I'll change this thickness here to 200. Then I'll click inside here for material, click this three dot icon to open the material browser, and I'll select C2530. I'll go ahead and click OK, and I'll click OK. Then I'll click OK again. Now I'm just going to come here, make sure it's on boundary line, and I'll click on rectangle. I'll come here to the edge of this first column, and I'll move down in this direction. I'll click here to place the other edge. Once I'm done, I just go ahead and click on finish. Alright, good. Now you see it comes here with this span direction symbol. You can delete it, just select it and press delete. There we go. I'm going to model reference planes. This will be used for identifying our column and our middle strips. So on the structures tab, you're going to see here reference planes. we're just going to click here, move downwards to draw the first reference plane. I'll just modify to escape. If I select this, I can go ahead and change the reference from the grid line. I'll change this here to 1005, press enter, and while it's still selected, I'll come here and click on mirror draw axis. I'll click here, move downwards to create another. I'll hold down the control key and select this one here. I'll click on copy. I'll make a copy to this point here, here, and here. Then I'll press escape. Now we don't need the two at the edges, so I'll select this, hold down control key and delete this. I'll do the same thing in the other direction as well. So come back to the structures tab, click on reference plane. I'll come here and click, move in this direction. Let's go, modify. I'll select this and change this here to 1005, press enter, come here and copy, click here, paste here, press escape. Then I'll just mirror in this direction. Then I'll hold down the control key, select this. I'll come here and click on copy, click here, paste here, and then I'll paste the last one here. Then I press escape. Now I can delete this, just press delete, and now we have our reference planes. Now let's model our structural wall. So I'm just going to come to the structures tab. I'll click on wall, and we'll start with this generic 200. I'll click on edit type, and I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate this. I'll call this here 300 click OK, and then for structure I'll click on edits, and I'll change this thickness here to 300. For the material, I'll come and click on this three dots icon, and I'll set it here to this. This is the material browser, by the way. Click OK, and I'll click OK. There we go. Once I'm done, I just click OK. Make sure it's set here to the new type, and I'm going to set this to go to a depth of level 1. Alright, good. So I'm just going to move into this direction, and I want to place my wall here. So I'm just going to come here and click, move in this direction, and I'll just come here and just place this for now. And I'll move downwards like this, click here, and I'll paste in this direction. Once I'm done, I just go ahead and press escape. Now I want to make sure that my wall face is aligned to this line. So what I'll do is I come to the modify tab, I'll click here on align. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to make sure that the lock button is turned on. You see there's a reason for that. So I'm just going to click on this reference plane here, and I'll click on this face. You can see now that that is constrained to this reference plane. In the same way, I'll come here, and you can see multiple alignments is turned on. So what I want to do is just click on modify, and then I'll start the alignment tool again. If not, it will align to the last reference. If I click here, I'll click here, and you can see this is aligned as well. Then I'll click on modify. Now I want to place two more walls in this direction. So what I can do is I can come back here to structure, click on wall, and I'm just going to place one wall here, and I'm just going to place in this direction, and I'll place in this direction. And I also want to place another wall here as well. So I'll just click and I'll draw one in this direction. There we go. And I'll just come back here to align. I'll click on the edge here like this. You can see it's currently referenced to the floor. So I'll click here and I'll align it to this edge. Great. Now I'm just going to place a dimension here. And to do that, under the modify tab, you see here measure for align dimension. I'm just going to come here and click here. Click on the center of this wall here. Click here. And I'll click here. Now go ahead and click to let's go here. Then I'll press escape. Now I'll select this dimension and I'll click this equality symbol to make sure that they are equal. I can now turn it off, and you can see the distance between all of them is 3, 4. I can delete this dimension. Now I want to do this in the same direction. So what I'll do is I'll just come and use the dimension tool again. I'll click here and click here. This is 3, 5. I'll click on modify. I'll select this and I'll change this here to 3400. Then I'll press enter. There we go. If I click on this, I'll just press delete. And now you can see we have our structural walls. I'm going to go ahead and create a default 3D view. So I'll come to the view tab and click on default 3D view so we can see everything we've done so far. In this view here, I want to get rid of all the annotations. So I'll come to properties, click on edits, and I'll turn off annotation categories. Click on apply on OK. And I'll change this here visual style to hidden line. All right, good. Now I want these columns here to go above this floor. And that's the reason why we created level 3. So if I come back here to level 2, I'll go ahead and select one of the columns, right click, I'll click on select all instances in the entire project, and I'll set this to go to level 3. And now you can see they have a cut line. In the same way as well, I'll do the same thing for my walls. I'll select one, right click, I'll click on select all instances in the entire project, and I'll set the top constraint here to level 3 and apply. Good. Now that we've done that, I'm going to select the column. I'll hold down Control key and select one of the walls. Then I'll right click and click on Override Graphics and View by category. And I'm just going to come here where we have cut patterns, and I'll change this here to solid fill. Click on the color, change it to black, click OK and apply. Good. So we can now see the columns that are going above this floor. If you come to the 3D view, we can also see that as well. Now let's model a shaft through these walls here. So if I orbit around, you can see we still have a floor here. So I'll come to level 2 and I'll come to the structures tab, and we're going to see this option for opening. We'll click on shafts. Under the shaft here, make sure boundary line is set. I'll click here on rectangle, and I'll come here and click to make an opening through the centers of these walls all the way to this point. Great. We can see the settings here. This base constraint is set here to level 2. Let's set the top constraint as well to level 2, and we'll set it to a base offset at least greater than the thickness of the slab. So 300 is fine. Before we go ahead and finish, let's put symbolic lines to show that there's an opening. So I'll change the line style here. I'll change it to hidden, and I'll just make sure line is set. I'll click here. I'll come and place another line like this. I'll press escape. I can just click on this line, click on mirror draw axis, click here, there we go. Then I'll hold down the Control key, select this line. I'll come here and click on copy, click here, then click here. When I'm done, just go ahead and press escape, and I can click on finish, and you can see our shafts. If I go to the 3D view as well, we can see there's also a shaft through the walls. Now, there are various ways of modeling drop panels. In this case, I'm going to be modeling them as floors within Revit, so the floors category. So we have other ways as well where it can be joined to the column, but I like to model it as floors because they act as separate plates that join the all larger plates. So here's how we do it. First of all, I'm just going to hide this reference plane. So I'll just select one, right click, select all instances visible in view, and I'm just going to click on this button here to hide the elements. They are still in the project, by the way. Now I'm going to come to the structures tab. I'm going to click on floor. Now on the floor here, I'm just going to go ahead and switch to the 200 mm floor we created earlier on. I'm just going to come here and click on edit type, and I'll duplicate. I'm going to call this here 450, and that's going to be the thickness of our drop panel. So I'm going to click on edit. I'll change this thickness here to 450. I'll click OK and OK. There we go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and place an interior drop panel here. So I'll just come here, boundary line, and I'll select here for rectangle and just create one in between, just like this. All right, good. Once I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that I have the width in both directions. So it's going to be a square drop panel. So to easily do that, I can come to align dimension, click here, I'll click here and click here as well. There we go. I'll press escape. I'll select this, or rather select this line, and I'll change this here to 3000. I'll do the same thing in this direction. Select this, and I'll change this here to 3000. There we go. And I'm going to add another dimension again. So in this case, I'm just going to come back here, dimension. I'll click here, and click here. I'll click here, and click here. So I'm referencing the grid lines, by the way. So I'll just go here, press escape or modify. I'll select this, and I'll click on this equality symbol. So you can see that it centers it. Select this as well and click on this. Great. Now I want this parameter here to serve as a global parameter in the project. So in case I want to change my drop panel thicknesses across multiple types, I can do that. I can just select this like this, and I'm just going to come here under label and click here to create a parameter. I'm going to call this here DP interior. There we go. And I'll leave it here as dimensions. Go ahead and click OK, and you can see it's been set. I'll select this one as well, click on DP interior. Great, good. Once that's been done, I'm just going to come here and click on finish. All right, so I'm not going to save, and you see you have a warning here telling you that the highlighted floors overlap. We can easily fix that. So the first thing I'll do is I'll come to the manage tab, and I'll come here, the manage tab, the modify floor tabs rather, because we have the floor selected. If you didn't have it selected, just click on modify. So if I come to the modify tab, you're going to see the option for join. I'll click on join. I'll come here and click on the larger floor, then click on the smaller floor. There we go. So once you're done, just click on modify. Now I'll select this particular spanner row. I'll just go ahead and delete it. And now if I come to the manage tab and I click on global parameters, you see DP interior. I can go ahead and change this value, for instance, to let's say 3500. And if I click on apply, you can see it updates the size of the panel. If I change it back here to 3000, you see it updates as well. And you can see that it is centered across the axis. Now I can also change the rule as well. So if I select this drop panel again and click on edit, instead of using the interior on these edges here, I can select this, I'll delete this too. And I'll come to the equality. I'll go ahead and toggle it off for both. And I'll hold down the control key and select both. And I'm going to set a new parameter for them. I'm just going to call this here int, which is going to be referencing half of the interior length. So I'll leave everything as the default, and you can see it's being set here to 1.5. Now I'll come to the manage tab and I'll click on global parameters, and you can see we now have int. I'm going to set a formula here for DP interior, which is going to be equal to int, the exact same way it's named. I'll put an asterisk multiplied by 2. There we go. And now you see it to be dependent on this. So if I change this, for instance, to let's say 1000 and I click on apply, you can see it's been updated here as well. If I change this, for instance, to 3000 and click on apply, you see it's been updated here as well. Alright, so once I'm done, I can just come here and click on finish. Now the disadvantage of using this method is that you can see that we made this reference both this grid line and this grid line. So if I select this drop panel like this and I come here and click on copy, if I come and paste it here, we're going to get a warning here for overlap. That's fine, that's expected. I'll press escape. Now if I move to the edge, select this drop panel and click on edit boundary, you can see that reference is gone. So you have to go ahead and set it again. So I'll select this, edit witness line, add a dimension here, select this and add this reference rather here. You also have to select the two as well and just go over here and set it back to int. Alright, good. Now this may take a lot of time, but it's actually rewarding in the end, especially when you have a larger project and a lot of updates to make. So I'll select this one here. I'm just going to click on copy, then I'll paste one here and another one here, press escape. Then I'll select this panel, click on edit boundary. I'll select this too, and oops, so first of all I need to add the reference in between. There we go. Then I'll do the same thing here. There we go. Great. Then I'll select the 2 dimensions, set it here to int, and I'll click on finish. I'll do the same thing here as well. Edit boundary, select this too. Oops, same mistake again. So select this, edit witness line, add a reference here as well. There we go. I'll select this too, and I'll set it here to int. Alright, good. If I click on finish, you can see we're done. Well, I want to show it as hidden lines as well. So the problem now is that these 3 drop panels are not joined to the slab. That's the reason why we have this one. So to fix that, on the modify tab, I'll come here and click on join. Make sure multiple join is turned on like this. Select the slab. I'll select this, and select this. Once you're done, just modify. Alright, great. Now if I come back to the manage tab and click on global parameters, if I update this, for instance, let's say 4000 and I click on apply, you can see it's updated throughout the whole project. I'm just going to change it here back to 3000, click on apply, and just like that, we've set the parameters for our drop panel. Now let's go ahead and model the exterior. So over this edge here, so we have some parts that is interior and this part here is exterior. So I'll select this one here. I'll go ahead and click on copy for reference, click here, and I'll come and click here. I'll press escape. Now I'll select it and I'll click on edit boundary. I'll click inside here and move upwards here. And what we're going to do is we'll change this reference. So I'll select this line. I'll click and drag the widthless line to this point here. There we go. And then I'll move this one upwards here. And I'll click on edit witness line and then place it here. Now I'll change this here to be interior. There we go. While this, I'm going to set it as a new parameter. So I'll click here, and I'll call this here int2. There we go. And I'll click OK. And now if I go ahead and click on finish, if I come to the manage tab and click on global parameters, you see int2 is here. So this still affects this as well. So if I set this to 4000 and click on apply, you see it updates. But for int2, if I change it here to 2000, you can see it updates in this end. So let me just change it back to the originals. That is 3000 and 15. There we go. You can see every other thing will be updated as well. All right, let's continue. I want to place it on this end as well, but I noticed that copying the exterior tends to give some sort of warning. So if I come here and click on copy, if I click here and click here, you can see here it appears a bit off. So it might be best to just go ahead and place it again. So I'll delete this. I'll just come back here to the structures tab and I'll click on floor. All right, and then I'm just going to go ahead and click on rectangle. I'm just going to use a trick here, make a selection over here, and then I'm just going to select everything, and then I'll just click on move, and I'll come here and I'll place it in this direction. All right, good. So let's set the usual parameters. I'm just going to use the measure tool here and then reference. There we go. All right, good. Now I'll select this, set it here to int rather. Select this, set this here as well to int2. All right, good. Click on finish. Okay, so let's do the same thing as well for these ends. So come back here to structure, click on floor. All right, just going to come here, make a selection. There we go. All right. All right, and the last one here. Okay, so place these dimensions here. Great. Set this one here to interior, then this one here to interior too. All right, good. So click on finish. Great. So I'll select one of this, hold down the control key and delete the span arrows. Do the same thing here as well. So we need to join the slabs. So to quickly do that, just come back to modify and then click on join, multiple joins, select this, click on this, this, and this. All right, great. Now let's go ahead and model the drop panels for the corners. So I'm just going to come back to the structures tab. I'm going to click on floor and I'm going to use a very nice trick to quickly place for the others. So I'll just click here on the rectangle and I'm just going to make a selection from here to this point. There we go. I'll do the same thing here. I'll make a selection from here to this point. Click on modify. I'll drag this line here to the edge like this. Okay, and I'll make a copy of this. All right. All right, just paste one more here. There we go. Modify, select this line, drag it downwards. Now I'll make a selection like this and I'll just go ahead and click on move. And I'm just going to come here and reference from this grid line, click here and I'll paste here. Of course, I want all of this to be individual drop panels, but just stay with me. You'll see how it works out. Let's go ahead and place the constraints. All right, so to do that, I'll come here and click on dimension. I'll place from here to here. And then I'll place from here, oops, not here, place from here to here. There we go. I'll place from here, add, oops, not here, this reference. I'll add this reference as well. Then I'll add this reference. In the same way as well, I also want to add the reference in these directions. So I'm just going to come here. There we go. Add this reference. Add this reference here. All right, it's good. So once I'm done, just click on modify. Now I'm going to select the dimensions that I want to map. So to global parameters, I'll select this, hold down control while selecting them, just like this. And I'll set this here to be int2. The same way as well, I'll select this. This also as well should be int2. And this as well, okay, this is already int2, that's fine. Now I'll select this, hold on the control key, select both, and I'll set it here to int. All right, good. So once I'm done, I can just go ahead and make a selection of all of this like this. And I'm just going to click on the cut tool. It's just cut to clipboard. So we're left with this here. Now, if I go ahead and click on finish, you can see this one is placed. But if I come back to the structures tab and I click on floor, I can come here and click on paste, align to current view, and you see that they are back here. In the same way, I can make a selection like this. I'll just go ahead and cut. But before I finish, I need to place my span direction. So I'll just place it along any of the lines. It doesn't matter for now. I'll click on finish and you can see I've placed it. So it's a much faster process. So let's come back here, flow. All right, click on paste, align to current view. There we go. Make a selection of this. I can use the shortcut Control X as well to cut. Span direction, place one here. Click on finish, and then we'll add the last one here. Just come back here to the slab or floor tool. Then paste, align to current view. Then span direction, click here. Then click on finish. Now I'll just delete all the span arrows. I can select one, right click, select all instances visible in view. I can just press delete. And I want to join the slab panels. So just come to modify, join, make sure multiple join is turned on. Click here, and I'll click on these floors. There we go. Now let's place the other ones in this direction. Sometimes you get lucky with Revit, so I'm just going to select this, hold down the control key, select this one here, and I'm going to mirror to this direction. I'll just come here, click on mirror draw axis. This is a symmetrical building. I'll find the midpoint here. Let's go. And you can see it's pasted here. Of course, the constraints will be lost. So if I click on edit boundary, I need to go ahead and place it. So I'll come back here in dimensions and I'll set this one here. There we go. And I'm just going to select this too and I'll set it here to int2. All right, click on finish. All right. Then I'll do the same thing as well for this. If I click on edit boundary, I'm just going to go ahead and add those dimensions. Click here. And I'll come here and click here as well. Select the two dimensions and I'll set it here to int2. Then click on finish. Of course, we need to join them. So just come click on join, select this, and this as well. And just like that, we've placed all the drop panels. It's very relaxing when you know you can come to the manage tab and just click on global parameters. So if you want to quickly update the sizes of all the drop panels, you can just set here, for instance, to 4000, and I can set, for instance, interior 2 to 2000, and you can see everything updates automatically. Let's just change it back to the original size. That's 3000 by 15. All right, and there we go. Now let's switch the join order between the drop panels and the main slab. If I select the slab like this, you can see right now that it is the slab that is cutting through the drop panels. I want to be able to select the drop panel just by hovering my mouse over it. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the 3D view. So I'm just going to go ahead and come to the modify tab and I'm going to click here on switch join order. All right, make sure multiple switch is turned on. I'll click on the main floor. I'll just come here and switch here to the left view. Then I'll make a selection over all the drop panels like that. There we go. If I click on modify, I'll just come back here and orient the view. If I select the slab, you can now see the drop panels are now cutting through, or rather the drop panels are now cutting through the main slab. If I come to level 2, you can see that's the case as well. I can now go ahead and select the panels individually. By the way, if you're having difficulties selecting it by face, just make sure that your select elements by face is turned on like this. If not, you'll not be able to select elements by face. Let's go ahead and add openings to our walls. So I'll just select this wall here and click on wall opening, and I'll just click anywhere along the wall, then click again. There we go. And now we can go ahead and change the width. So I'll click inside here. I'll set it here to 2000. And I'll go ahead and modify the way it starts and ends. I'll just press escape first. Then I'll select the opening like this. I'll put here 550. That should make it fall at the center. And now with it being selected, I can just go ahead and click on copy. I'll click on the corner and then I'll paste it with that reference. There we go. Good. Now I'll select all the wall openings. So I'll just hold down Control key, select 3 of them. You can see they have typical properties. I'll come here and change the base offset here to 0. Click apply, and I'll change the base constraint here to level 2. And then the top offset, I'll set it here to -800. All right, and make sure that the top constraint is on level 3. If you go to the 3D view, you can now see exactly how it looks. If I come back to level 2, we can also see it as well. Now let's go ahead and join the floor to the wall. As you can see, there's a line appearing in the middle and I don't want that. So I'll come to the modify tab, I'll click on join, I'll go ahead and select the slab, and I'll go ahead and select the floor. And now if I click on modify, we can see a hidden line which shows that there's a wall above. I'll also come to the 3D view that we created earlier on, and I'm going to make the floors transparent, so that way I can see the drop panels. So I can just go ahead and click on one of the floors, right click, I'll click on override graphics in view by category, and I'm going to set the transparency here to, let's try 60. There we go. And now we can see the floor with the drop panels with that transparency effect. All right, now if you look closely, you can see here that the floor is cutting through the wall, and that's not really nice to look at. So I can just come here to switch join order. I'll select the floor and the wall, and that is much more appealing to see. Now come to level 2. Let's go ahead and tag our drop panels. But before we do that, let's set the types. I'll go ahead and start with this. So first of all, let's get the dimensions. I'll just type DI, and then I'll just measure from here to here. And you can see here the dimensions is 18 by 18. So I'll select this, I'll click on edit type, and I'm going to go ahead and rename this. I'll set it here to 1800 times 1800 times 450. All right, good. I'll click OK. There we go. And you can see that has been set. But of course, it's going to rename every other thing. So let's go ahead and set the types. We're going to select this one here. This is going to be 3000 by 18. So I'll go ahead and click on edit type. I'll duplicate, and I'll call this here 3000 by 18 by 450 There we go. And click OK. And now I'll go ahead and hold down Control key and set it for all the exterior types. So I'll set it here. Oops, hold down Shift key, select that. All right, good. So I'll go ahead and change this here to, that is going to be the 3000. There we go. Oops, I mistakenly named it 300 instead of 3000. So 3000. There we go. Great, good. Now let's go ahead and do the last for the interior. So I'll select the interior. I'll click on edit type. I'll come ahead and click on duplicates. I'll name this here 3000. And I'll name this here 3000. There we go. Okay, okay. And now if I select this and this and this, I can go ahead and set the types to that new type. All right, good. So if I go ahead and select this one, for instance, right click and select all instances, entire project, you can see it selects those of those types. It's the same thing as well for every single one we just assigned. Now let's go ahead and tag. In this case here, we're going to notice that we don't have a tag for floors. So I'm just going to go ahead and create one. I'm just going to select these dimensions first. Let's just delete it. And what I'll do is that I'll come over here to file, and I'm going to come here and click on new, and then I'm just going to come here and click on family. All right, so it's going to open this folder here, and what you want to do is you want to switch here to family templates, and then you're going to go ahead and pick here English. We're not using Imperial, and I'm going to click here on annotations, and then under annotations just pick the metric generic annotation. I'll click on open. All right, great. So that's going to open up a family template we can use, and it's going to come here with this notes, and then it asks us to delete it. So let's just go ahead and delete it for now. And I'm just going to come to this tab here and then set the family categories and parameters, which is basically what the notes told us to do. I'll set it here to floor tags and click OK. And then once I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and create a tag. So to do that, I'm just going to come over here to create, and I'm going to click here on label, and then I'm just going to click here, and I'm going to set the parameter. So the parameter here is going to be the type. So I'm just going to search here for type. Let me just type T. All right, so type name, include that in, and I'll just go ahead and click OK. Once I'm done, just modify. I can select it as well and place it exactly in the middle where I want it to be referenced in the project. And I can also set the appearance as well. If I come to edit type, I can go ahead and change the size. Let me change it here to 2. I'll rename this as well and set this here to 2. I'll change the color here to blue. Let's use blue here. All right, there we go, and click OK. Good. I'll just nudge it down a bit using my down arrow key, and I can go ahead and save this family. So if I just come here, I click on file, I'll just come here and click on save, and I can go ahead and save it anywhere I want on my computer. So I'll just go ahead and call this here floor tag. There we go, and I'm just going to save. Good. And I'm going to load it back into the project. So it's important to save because it needs a proper name before entering the project. So I'll click on load into project and close. There we go. And now I can go ahead and place it to my floor or my drop panel. So if I move closely, you can see here it shows you a preview of what it looks like. I'm just going to go ahead and click, and I'll just click on modify. and I can just click and drag that just above like this. There we go. And you can see it comes with a leader. So I can just go ahead and turn it off, and just like that, we've tagged our drop panel. In the same way, I want to do the same thing for all the other drop panels. So I can just come back to the Annotate tab, and I can now click on Tag by Category. If I don't want a leader line, I can turn it off. And if I move over to my drop panel, it shows me a preview of how it looks like. Alright, so if I go ahead and click, you can see it has placed my drop panel. If I want to quickly place it for all the other drop panels, I can just come here and click on Annotate, click on Tag All, and I'm going to search here for floor tag. So I'll check it. You can see the tag that we just created. I'll go ahead and click on Apply, and I'll click OK. And oops, it hasn't tagged it. So just click on Tag All again, or floor tags. There we go. And then here, all objects in current view. Rather, that's what I was meant to pick. So click on Apply and OK. And just like that, we've tagged it. I'll just go ahead and click on Modify. You can see we also tagged our main slab as well. In this case, we don't want to for now, so I'll just delete this. And now I can select one of them, right click, and then I'll click on Select All Instances Visible in View, and I can use my up arrow key to nudge them all at once, so I can adjust the position however I see fit. So over here is fine. There we go. And then I'll just go ahead and modify. I'll select these tags here, and I'll move down a bit. Right, then I'll select this one here, and then I'll move it down. Just want to make sure it's aligned. Great. And just like that, you can see we've tagged all of them. Oops, so we need to move these ones a bit closer, so I'll just select them and I'll move them down. All right, great. If I want to distinguish them by codes, let's say for instance this will be drop panel 1, this will be drop panel 2, and drop panel 3. What I can do is I can select one of the drop panels, click on Edit Type, and then you're going to see under Identity Data we have type mark. So this here is a type parameter. So I'll come here and type here DP1, and I'll click OK. Then I'll select this one here, Edit Type, and I'll come here again and then type here, let's put here DP2. There we go. And then I'll select this as well, click on Edit Type, and I'll come here and type here DP3. Okay, great. Now I'm going to edit the tag, so I'll select it and I'll click on Edit Family. All right, so it brings up the family again. If I zoom in here, you can see this is the tag. I'll just come here and click on Edit Label, and I can go ahead and add in that type mark, or in this case I want it to have a different appearance, so I'll select it. I'll go ahead and click on Copy, click here, and then move it upwards here, press Escape. I'll click on this, Edit Type, and I'm just going to rename this here to, this is I'm going to duplicate rather, so call this here 3mm. There we go. And I'll change this one color here to red. All right, and I'll change this here to 3. I'll click on Apply and OK. Great. I want this to be bold as well. It's just, sorry for being too specific. There we go. I'll select it and I'll move it downwards a bit just to fall here. And now I'll select it and click on Edit Label. I'll click on this type name and exclude, and I'm just going to look for type mark. So that's above type name. I'll include it here and click OK. And now if I go ahead and load it back into the project, before I do that, I just want to make sure that these two are a bit centered. So I'll just nudge it a bit here. There we go. I'll load it back into the project. In this case, I want to save. Since I've saved the tag, I'll click on Yes to replace the existing on my computer. And I'll click on Overwrite the existing version and its parameter values. And just like that, you can see that the drop panels have been updated with that information from their type mark parameter. All right, let's go ahead and add our dimensions. So I'll switch this here to scale of 1 to 50, and to make it much better to see most of the annotations we'll place later on, I'm going to come to the Annotate tab. I'm just going to click on Aligned, or I can use the shortcut DI, by the way. I'm just going to dimension between the spans. There we go. And I'll also dimension here as well on this side. Just move it upwards a bit. There we go. Great. All right, so I'll just drag this here to the ends. I also want to make room as well here, and I'll drag these ones here up. All right, good. Now let's go ahead and add a section. All right, so to do that, just going to come to the View tab. I'm going to click on Section, and I'm going to make a section through the column strip. So I'm just going to come here, click, and then I'll move in this direction here and click again. And I'll drag the far clip offset to be somewhat around here. There we go. And I'll add a gap in elements. Just drag this annotation back a bit here as well. There we go. And let's go ahead and open up that section. So if I double click to open it up, we can see how it looks. I'm going to change the scale here to 1 to 25, and then I'll click on the crop region, and then I'll drag it here just to focus on this floor. And here we can see a section through our flat slab. All right, great. So if I zoom in here, we can see the flat slabs, and you can see everything is joined correctly because they are using the same material. We can also see the reference planes as well, distinguishing between the middle strips and the column strips. I'm just going to hide this elevation. Right click, I'll hide in view by category, and I'm going to place some dimensions. First of all, I'll turn off the crop region visible, so turn this off here. And I'm going to use the dimension tool. So just come back to the Annotate tab and click on Aligned. I'll click here, and then I'll dimension all the necessary faces, just like this. There we go. Here, here, and on here as well. And then I'll let's go. Now I don't want these lines to be too close to their reference, so I'll just click on Modify, select this dimension, click on Edit Type, and I'll change this here from gap to elements to fixed to dimension line. Alright, good. Now also place as well references at the top. So I'll click here, and that will be for the grid lines. I'm just going to come back here to Aligned, click here, click here, click here, and I'll click here. Then I'll add the full span as well. Alright, good. Great. Now I want to show the break line for the columns here, so I can come to the Annotate tab again. I'm going to click on Region. I'm going to click on Edit Type. I'll duplicate. I'll call this here Solid White. There we go. And I'll click OK. I'll change this foreground view color here to, let's change it to solid. Okay. And I'll change this here to white. I'll click OK. And I'm just going to use thin lines here. So I'll click here. I'll go here and click move upwards. There we go, like this. Then move downwards. All right, don't need to be too specific. All right, maybe just a bit more steep. All right, it's good. And I said that wasn't going to be specific, but I always like it to be as equal as possible. Let me delete this here. I'm just going to come here, mirror draw axis. Great, and I'll just trim. All right, trim this here. Great. So some of these are very necessary for having nice presentation. So I'm just going to move this. Just use the move tool. I'll move it here. There we go. And I'm just going to come and click on line again. This time I'll switch this here to invisible lines. I'll click here, move upwards, click here, and click on finish. I'll use my arrow key to nudge it down a bit so we can see the symbol completely. And I'll select it, and I'm just going to click on copy, and I'll click here on this grid line as reference. I'll paste one here again. I'll paste one here, and we have ones at the column, so I'll place one here and place one. There we go. I'll select all of them, hold down the control key, just like that. And I'll use my mirror tool, mirror draw axis. I'll click here, and you can see they've been placed at the bottom as well. Now we need to indicate where there are voids. So for instance, we have a void here, so I can just use simple detail lines. I'll come to Annotate, click on detail line here. I'll click here, and I'll draw a line in this direction, press escape. I want to change this to hidden, so I'll select it, I'll change it to hidden line. Now click on mirror draw axis, find the center, click here. There we go. I can as well put a text note here indicating there is a void. Let me change these lines here. I'll change it to hidden, not hidden lines. It's a different style, so this is black. And I'll just come to Annotate, click on text. All right, I'll center it before I place. So I'll just come and click here. I'll call this here void. There we go. I'll just click on modify, and you can see it's been placed. All right, good. Now we need to go ahead and tag the drop panel. So I can just come back to the Annotate tab. I'll click here on tag by category. If I click on it, you can see it places the tag. So this way you can also reference it as well. So I'll just select it here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on copy. I'll just copy, and I'll paste one here as well. And you can see automatically it finds the association. All right, good. You can also as well put the reference dimensions, and that's always going to be nice. So if I come back to the Annotate tab, I'll just click here on the align dimension. So I'll click here, and click here. So we know the thickness of the slab, and then we know the thickness of the drop panel. as well. So here, just come here and do the same thing in this side here as well. All right, and then place one here as well. All right, good. So we've been able to detail a flat slab section, and that's how we model a flat slab in Revit. In the next video in this series, we'll look at how to model and detail reinforcement in our flat slab. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, leave a comment, I always love that, share and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.